त्रयाणां देवानां त्रिगुणजनितानां तव शिवे त्रयाणां देवानां त्रिगुणजनितानां तव शिवे भवेत् पूजा पूजा तव चरणयोर्या विरचिता तथा हि त्वत्पादोद्वहनमणिपीठस्य निकटे स्थिता ह्येते शश्वत् मुकुलितकरोक्तं समकुटाः स्थिता ह्येते शश्वन्मुकुलितकरोक्तं समकुटाः.
Beautiful one, beautiful. Trayanam devanam triguna janitanam tava shive bhavet puja puja tava charana yorya virachita. This is the first line. Trayanam devanam triguna janitanam tava shive. So there are three gods, three deities, or three representations of the forces of nature, which is the cycle of creation, sustenance, and destruction. Right? And these three are represented by Brahma, Hari, Shiva. So these three are born out of gunas, he says. Trayanam devanam triguna janitanam tava shive. Oh Shiva, here she is referred to as this is the akara. O Shiva, O Shive, which means the feminine aspect is invoked here. Okay. This is not calling out to Lord Shiva. This is calling out to Shakti. Okay. So saying of the three, or all the three are born from the three guna. Okay. Which means the Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva are essentially, if you look at them as just the principles of creation, sustenance, and destruction, that is a cycle. But when did the cycle come into being? Or how did it come into being? Is because of the three gunas. Which are those? Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Because of these three gunas, the whole creation got, or the whole cycle got set into motion. And so the way it got to set into motion is, what first was there was the Sadashiva, or the static cosmic principle. Okay? According to the story of creation, what remained, what was first there was nothingness. And in that nothingness, there was a stir, there is a spandana. Okay. Now that spandana, from that spandana, movement, spanda or shabda or sound or nada Brahman. From first you had Brahman, which was the Nirguna Brahman. Then from that, the spandana came, which is the Shabda Brahman or Nada Brahman, which is essentially movement or sound came, that stir that happened. From that stir came the three component parts: Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Sattva is light, Rajas is activity, Tamas is dullness. Right? So these three gunas, which means these three characteristics came out, and from that the whole creation got set into motion. This is what Sankhya says. Sankhya philosophy by sage Kapila. This is what it says. So these three, and this is known as Prakriti. Shakti is also known as Prakriti. Which means these are, from this the whole creation happened. So all that we see, the Panchabhutas, everything, is a creation of these three. Right? And every object, whether it's the most grossest of object, which is material, which is earth, or the Panchamahabhutas, or any kind of life forms like plants or algae or microbes or unicellular organisms, to all the way the most complicated multicellular organisms, all of this is combination of these three. Okay, just to simple visualization is those who are familiar with the primary colors of red, green and blue. Red, green and blue in school we are taught are the primary colors, right? RGB. And everything that you can think of as color can be created as a combination of these three. Correct? The amount of red, the amount of green and the amount of blue, how much you add, you can create so many combinations. So it starts with 0, 0, 0 to 1, 1, 1, which means R is 0, G is 0, B is 0, red is 0, green is 0, blue is 0. It gives you black. In RGB, when all the three are 0 in their composition, it gives you black, which is tamas. And you get 1, 1, 1, you get rajas, sattva, it's white. RGB, those are familiar with the color palette, you'll know RGB 1, 1, 1, or in hexadecimal it is F, 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 whatever, right? So that is, if it's full red, full green and full blue, you mix all of that, it gives you white. And even in your, those are familiar with using the PowerPoint or any of these Microsoft tools, there'll be a color palette that will come. You'll see on one end you have black, on the other end you'll have white. And you see the hexadecimal code. And you'll have these three composition components there, R, G, B. Of course, now to show a lot of hues, color hues, they've brought in certain other color combinations. They've brought in cyan, magenta, and all of that, right? But the basic color combinations are red, green, blue. So when none of that is there, it's black. When everything is there, it's white. And then in between is a full range of colors that you perceive in this world. Even the original television, the color television, was built on a cathode ray tube, which would fire red, green, and blue in different combinations to give you the color, a full range of colors. So imagine the world has been created like this by Prakriti, by Shakti. This whole cinema, the world, is created as a full color combination of red, green, blue, which is in a way it is sattva, rajas, tamas. Triguna. From this, the whole cycle of creation has started. So what is the cycle of creation? The process of creation, the process of sustenance, the process of destruction. Again, creation, sustenance, destruction. Creation, sustenance, destruction. This cycle got set into motion by the Trigunas in various combinations. And we are also a result of that. Even within us, you will see these three gunas are operating constantly at various frequencies. There are times I'm feeling sattva. There are times I'm feeling very rajasic, activity based. There are times I feel very meditative, sattva. There are times I feel very dull and lazy, tamasic. And I feel a whole range in between these three. Right? So in your emotions, you have sattva, rajas, tamas. In your character, in your personalities, you will have sattva, rajas, tamas. In the way you engage with the world, there is sattva, rajas, tamas. The way you see the world, there is sattva, rajas, tamas. The way we are created, There is a rock versus me. A rock has more tamas. I have much more sattva, which is why I'm able to reflect life more than the rock can. Everything is a combination of these three, Prakriti. So this whole Trayanam Devanam, Triguna Janitanam, Tava Shive, O Mother, they've all been created from you because you are Prakriti. You existed with Shiva as this undisturbed entity, and from there came rise. When there is a stir, there is a spandana, came rise of these three properties came into being, sattva, rajas, tamas, and from that everything got, the whole creation cycle got set into motion. And this is the same experience we also have at night. When we are sleeping, we are completely Shiva. Everybody is Shivakami at night. Everybody is
அதான் சொல்லுவாங்க ஆள் மாறாட்டம்.
Al Marathon. So everybody is Shiva at night. And when we wake up, when our consciousness comes into being, see, even that you will notice, there are mornings when you get up, when you're conscious, from you come out of that deep slumber, when you become conscious, you have a gradation of sattva, rajas, tamas within you. At different days, you have different combinations predominant. Certain days sattva is dominant, certain days rajas is dominant, certain days tamas is dominant, right? For a lot of people, weekends sattva is tamas is dominant. When it's weekends, hey, it is a weekend, why should I get up early? So tamas is dominant. So you got an early morning school or meeting or something you got to run to, your rajas is dominant. You got to get up and run, go quickly, take shower and run. And certain days you want to get up early and you want to sit and meditate. Sattva is dominant. Right? So within us, this whole cycle keeps happening. Now, what this shloka is saying is Bhavet Puja Puja Tava Charana Yoho Virachita. Ya Virachita, which means by I don't want to run behind these Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Or I don't want to try and manage these three gunas. I hold on to your feet. I hold on to your feet, which means I engage in some form of sadhana, some form of devotion, some form of introspection. When I do that, then I don't have to worry about this Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, which means I don't have to worry about Sattva, Rajas, Tamas operating. It has its own ways. I want to become Trigunatita. How do I become Trigunatita? How do I rise above the sway of the gunas? How do I not be succumbed by the gunas? So how do I do that? Is when I hold on to your feet. I say hold on to your feet means it's not a physical act. It means it is bow down in devotion, bow down in reverence. Or when you open your eyes, think of your Ishta first, your Ishta Devata. A lot of times the Guru's feet is also a very good way to bring our attention to. So think of the Guru's feet on top of your head, or think of Devi's feet on the top of your head, or think of Devi or your Ishta sitting on a lotus on the top of your head. So whatever, basically when you get up, before your world begins, sit up, think of this. And then what happens is, now the moment you've done this, which means you've held the feet of Devi, then Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, you will not succumb to that cycle of samsara. So the cycle of samsara begins when you come into consciousness. The moment you come into wakefulness, the samsara has begun. How do you manage that? How do you go to a place where you don't want to succumb to that? That is what he's saying. Trayanam devanam triguna janitanam tavashive. They are born out of you only, O mother. எப்படி இருக்குன்னா ஸ்கூல்ல லேட்டா போறோம்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க. If you're going into school, suppose you're running into school late. If you go tell the principal, then you're safe. You don't have to go and tell the 5 teachers, right? You can tell I've already told the principal. So you go and hold that entity, which is the cause of other entities, or who supersedes, or who has a much a greater influence from where the others are coming into being. Bhavet puja, doing worship to that feet, tava charana yoho, I do, that becomes puja. That becomes puja of these 3, who the Trayanam Devanam. So when I worship your feet, O mother, it gives me the effect of worshipping every other person in this world, which means this is very important. If when we feel that there is, see, when typically this happens whenever you are into a lot of spiritual practices, or you're into many of these not just spiritual, I'd say many of these religious practices. If you get into religious practices of doing puja, doing mantras, you're doing archana, doing the regular rituals of all the events that we have, if a lot of focus is there, the mind can sometimes think that it can get so distracted into all of that, you'll not know what to hold on to. Correct? You'll feel, so like for example, you go break a coconut to Ganesha, then you go, you do bhasma archana to Shiva, then you do kumkumam archana to Devi, then you do tulasi archana to Krishna, then you do palabhishekam to Naga, then you do then you do some this thing to some deity. So you keep doing all of this. When your mind is in a certain state of stress, which one do you hold on to? Who do you hold on to? It'll suddenly feel like everything is scattered. It'll feel scattered, right? So what we should do, the best way to do this is identify your ishta, that which you're associating, which you feel most comfortable to associate with. Identify that ishta, and in all of this, make sure you see that ishta. Doesn't matter, it can be Muruga, and you're going to a Narayana temple, you're going to Guru Ayappan, and there is no Muruga there, but that's all right. If your ishta is Muruga, you can see Muruga in that Guru Ayappa. Bring that bhavana. What happens with that is, when you keep kind of bringing your ishta into focus and attention wherever you, but there is a beauty of going to Guru Ayappa. That doesn't mean you should only go to the Arupadai Veeda, only all Muruga's temple only I go, I'll not go to any other temple. No, it's not like that. You go there, there is a beauty in that space, there's a spiritual energy of that place. You go there, spend that time, but bring in your mind tell that, oh Muruga, you have brought me to Narayana. Why? Because your heart somewhere feels for Muruga. There is this connection. You don't know why. And then you think that, and then when you go there, you say that, oh Muruga, you brought me to Narayana. Let me experience you as Narayana. When we develop this, then what happens is, then mind doesn't scatter. When your mind is stressed, then you know you'll hold on to Muruga. Otherwise, what generally happens with people is because they go to so many different temples and so many different rituals they perform, they don't know essentially who to call out to when their mind is in stress. And they become desperate, right? There is this desperation that sets in, and then we go and do inga or 2 rupa powder, we'll put some 2 rupees here, we'll put some 1 tenga there, we'll put some kalpuram here, we'll put this thing there, we'll become desperate. We'll not know, we'll say, okay, I've made sure that I've done for all the 10 deities so that somebody help me. And then someone will come, the neighbor will come, did you do for that particular amman there? Ayyo, pannaliya. Then you go run. Just because you didn't do for that amman, this is why you're going through this trouble. Finished. So this struggle, why the mind gets scattered. Why is the mind scattered? Because we are not able to hold on to that one feet. Whoever's feet, whichever that is. Every individual is unique. You will have something that you want to hold on to. Hold on to that and see that through everything. And then when you do this, Bhavet Puja, when you do this puja, it will become the puja of Devi's feet or the feet of the Lord. And then it will also become the puja of the whole cycle that is set into motion, which is creation, sustenance, destruction, which is Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. And you're also in charge of your Trigunas. You are not succumbing to the Trigunas, you're letting you become the master of the Trigunas. Because why? Because you've held on to the feet of the Lord. You've brought your mind in attention to that one particular Ishta. Then he says, Tatha hi tvat padaha udvahana manipithasya nikate sthita hi etat shashvat mukulita karotamsa mukutaha. So these are, he goes on to say that these are who Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva are standing by your side. And how are they standing? They are holding their hands above their heads like this. Karaha mukulita karotamsa mukutaha. So they are holding on their hands like this and then bowing down to you in prostration to you. Who? Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. So what it means is that the Trigunas are governed by, when you go into that singularity within you, you have to go into that Shivam within you. You have to go into that Tattvam, Narayana Tattvam, Bhavani Tattvam, Bhavanitvam. You go into that Bhavanitvam within you. That Tattvam, you go in that. All of this are after that. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Rajas, Tamas, Sattva. They are after that. You are going to the source. So he says, hold the source. Trayanam devanam triguna janitanam tava shive bhavet puja tava charana yorya virachita tatha hi tvat padaha udvahana manipithasya nikate. They are standing beside you in complete awe and reverence. Sthita hi ete shashvat mukulita karotamsa makutaha. Okay. So this is the 25th shloka. Okay, we'll pause here and take the next one. Sita ji, you there?
I'm sorry. Yeah,
No problem.
I'm there.
Yeah, Virinchif Panchatvam.
Yeah. Virinchif Panchatvam Brajati Harirapnoti Viratim Vinasham Kinasho Bhajati Dhanutu Yati Nidhanam Vitandri Mahendri Vitati Sammilitadrisha Mahasamharesmin Viharati Satitvatpatirasau.
Very nice. So now you see the previous one and this one, which is 25 and 26, it almost seems like one is about the from the avyakta to vyakta. So Adi Shankara is saying that she is, O Shiva, from you, Triguna Janitanam Tava Shive. Triguna Janitanam. From you, all the Trigunas have been created. All the Trigunas have been, they have come, that is Prakriti, that's come out from you. Here, he is saying the Vyakta to Avyakta. Everything is dissolving back into Shiva. Into your husband Shiva. Everything is dissolving. So if you look at the first one and the next one, the 25 and the 26 almost seems to be in that sequence. One is about the whole process of creation getting set into motion. This 26th one is the whole act of dissolution that is happening. Those who are familiar with this Panchabhuta Linga temples, Kailash Ji had gone, right, for that yatra. There are 5 temples, Shiva Kshetras, in the 4 in Tamil Nadu and 1 in Andhra, Kalahasti, Vayu Linga. Right? One is Akasha, which is your Chidambaram. Akasha, Vayu is Kalahasti. Agni is Tiruvannamalai. Apaha is Jambukeshwara, Tiruvanekkaval. Then Prithvi is Kanchipuram. These are the 5 kshetras, Shiva kshetras. And the very beautiful thing about the way these kshetras operate. Oh, by the way, these are the kshetras where all the 4 Nayanmars, the Nalvar, they're called as Nalvars. Upper, Sundarar, Tirunjana Sambandar, and Upper Nala the Namakavi,
Manikavasagar.
Manikavasagar. Thank you. So these 4 have sung in these temples. So these 5 temples, the way they operate is that the first temple to open up in the morning is the Nataraja Chidambaram temple. That is the first temple that opens up. And that's the last temple to close. So it's very interesting that way. So the temples are, which means they actually follow this whole idea is of Akashat Vayuhu Vayor Agnihi Agnir Apaha Abhyaf Prithvi. From Akasha came Vayu, from Vayu, Akasha and Vayu came Prithvi. Akasha came Vayu, from Akasha Vayu came Agnihi, from Akasha Vayu Agnihi came Apaha, which is water, Jala. Akasha Vayu Agni Abhyah came Prithvi. This is the sequence in which creation has happened from the Triguna. Okay. The reverse, so this is way in which the unmanifest came into manifest. So the temples also open up in that way in the morning. And the closing of the temple, it closes, the Kanchipuram closes, and then Tiruvannamalai closes, or so Kanchipuram, then Jambukeshwara, then Tiruvannamalai, then Kalahasti, and then Chidambaram. Chidambaram is the last temple to close. And if you notice, if you've seen that in Chidambaram, they have this about 10:30 or 11 o'clock, 10:30 or so at night, they have this last puja that they do. Usually temples don't keep up open till that late. But Chidambaram temple remains late till relatively late in the night. And then that is when they close, because they wait for all the temples to close. So it's a very beautiful symbolism of the way how creation comes into existence and then dissolves back. And this happens in us every day and night. Every night when we go from Vyakta, which is, you're a Vyakti. Vyakta means manifest. From that came the word Vyakti. Vyakti, those who know in Sanskritam or Hindi, is a person. An individual person is a Vyakti, which means he has come into existence. Vyakti. So Vyakta is that which is in existence. Avyakta is that which is not in existence. It has gone into dissolution. It is dissolved. Avyakta. the opposite of Vyakta. So this happens within us every night. From Avyakta, we become Vyakta. From this no person, we become a person. And we operate in the day. And at night, again, from this person, you become a no person. Correct? In deep sleep, there is no cognition of name, your family, your where. In fact, you don't even know where you're sleeping. Correct? A lot of times, if you have a very, very beautiful dream or a lucid dream, beautiful or horrible, you have a very intense dream. When you open your eyes, you will actually first check, is this really the place that I am in? Right? Because you're not conscious of the place where your physical body is. And then your name and who you are, essentially all of that dissolves into the Sushupti Avastha. And that becomes, you become Avyakta. There is no Vyakti there. Which is why it is interesting to note. See, you should, these are things it is worth pondering and contemplating about when we are just sitting, when you're meditating, right? These are beautiful things to just think about. Think about every person in the world when they go to deep sleep. Who is there? When you see your child sleeping in the bed, completely deep asleep. When you see your husband, your wife, your whatever, your family members are sleeping deep asleep. When you observe closely, that person is not there. It's like a dead person, right? When you see dead, somebody who's dead, the life energy force has gone out. What do you say? 5 minutes ago, the person would have been alive. You would have addressed the person as he or she. After death, you have known, the doctor comes and says that the person has been declared dead. 5 minutes later, you call it it. Right? You call it as body. Body clear pannungo அப்படிம்பா வந்து. Clear of the body. That's what it is. Jada becomes jada. So when somebody is asleep, that Vyakti is not there. You've completely dissolved. And what there remains is exactly the same in everybody. This is worth thinking about. We look at somebody there and you say, between the different people who are sleeping, what is really there in substance within each one of them is not different. Because that person is not there. Forget about the mind, the way the person thinks. Maybe he may be a crooked person. He may be a very sensible person. He may be intelligent. She may be dull. Whatever. When you look at that person, none of that is manifest there. Correct? When you see somebody who's in deep sleep, what may be different is the way they snore. That may be different. But what you actually perceive as that individual is not there, right? That you don't see any differentiation there. That the person, I'm saying, the characteristics, the gunas of the person are not at the surface. They're all in Avyakta. And when you observe that, you know that all of these people that I'm seeing are sleeping in deep sleep are in the exact same state. And which is the same state of mine also. I'm also going into the same Avyakta state when I go into deep sleep. And this happens to me every night. See, this is where in this culture, when we say that we are one, we truly mean that we are one. It truly means we are one. We are one in essence. We are one. It is not like my Atma and your Atma. It's not like that. There is only one consciousness that is there. There is no oneness. There is only one. There's only one thing that is existing. Right? And that one thing is there within us also. The other day we discussed, right? It's like the ocean. You know, and this is a very interesting thing. all oceans in the world are connected. All oceans in the world are connected, which means there is only one water body. We name it differently depending on different geographical locations they are in, but they're all connected. There may be a patch of land on the top, but underneath is still the water of the ocean flowing, and they're all connected. The whole water in the world is literally one. The samudram, or what they call as the ocean, is only one ocean. So in the same way, the underlying conscious principle that is there is only one. So we go into that, and from that we come. So what here Adi Shankara is saying, Virinchi Panchatvam. He's calling out each principle. Virinchihi, Brahma, the creator. He breaks down into elements. Panchatvam Brajati. Those who know of this whole in Bhagavatam, there is this whole cycle of creation that is described. Like, for example, today is one day here, right? 24 hours is one day for us on this earth. They say in the Pitruloka, our 1 year is there one day. Correct? The 1 day of the Pitruloka is equal to our 1 year. 365 days make 1 day of the Pitruloka. Which is why when you do Shraddham, you do annually. Here in the Bhuloka, you do annually the Shraddha. You are actually feeding the Pitrus every day. That's the idea. It's usually the scale of time. Now, 1 day of the Pitruloka is, or 1 year of the Pitruloka is 1 day of the Gandharva Loka, or the Swarga Loka. So in this way, you scale up, you go all the way up, then there is a Brahma at the start of creation. And when Pralaya happens, that Brahma dissolves and a new Brahma comes. And then the Chatur Yuga, at the end of the Brahma has about 50 years of day and 50 night, and then after that he dissolves into Pralaya, a new Brahma comes, a new Vishnu, a new Shiva. So all these stories of multiverses and all that are coming now, right? Those are like ideas that have evolved from a lot of these things. So many of those things is like constantly happening, creation after creation after creation over time and time. There is one series on Netflix called Life on Our Planet. If you get an opportunity, watch it. Life on Our Planet. It's a new release on Netflix. I'm watching it. It's really beautiful. Just to observe how life evolved on this planet. It's a whole series by Steven Spielberg. Yeah, one of the greatest directors. And the narrative is by Morgan Freeman. It's very beautiful. The way they have created a lot of things in that are computer graphics, because they are showing prehistoric times. They are starting from the time life got created on this planet Earth 4 billion years ago. And in that they show at least 3 to 4 times there have been mass extinctions, which means complete pralaya has occurred. Scientifically, they have evidence to show there have been 3 to 4 extinctions where 90% of the life on the planet has been wiped out completely, either due to ice age or due to extreme volcanic eruptions, or due to the sea life becoming, or increase of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, whatever. So several reasons why life completely extinguished on this planet at least 3 to 4 times, and then it came back again and again. So this whole cycle, when you say Brahma is reduced to into his elements, means Brahma, a new Brahma comes, and then creation begins again. The whole life is set forth. So which means Brahma is also having a limited time frame. It may not be as limited as ours, but it's certainly limited. It may be a few millions of years, but it's still limited. So Brahma, Virinchi, is reduced to his elements. Hari also ends. Vishnu. This is the sustenance principle. Ends. Yama himself dies. When there is nothing else to die, Yama has to die. The job is done. So that role in companies, we do this, right? Once the job is done, that post becomes redundant, and then you you remove the person who's holding that post. You'll say he is redundant. So when everything is dead, then what is Yama to do? He is also gone. He is also dead. Kubera, god of wealth, which means anything that you hold as possession, prosperity, whatever, all of that is also gone. When everything dies, everything. Indra and his followers, Vitendri, Mahendri, all his followers, Vitatirapi, Sammilita Drisha, they also go into this deep slumber, which means they also die. And what remains? Sati, Tvat Patir Asau. Your Patihi alone remains. Shiva alone remains. Sada Shiva, which is the cosmic Nirguna principle, Brahman. That alone remains. And this he says is an experience that we go within ourselves every day. And we should remind ourselves during the waking state, we die every night. It's not a depressing thing. It is a very liberating thing to think. That is why you see, when we are so exhausted, so drained, give me some, I want to take a break. I want to go on a vacation to Yangama, Gayatri, where did you all went to some island, right? Let me go to some island and go and relax. But if you take kutis, I don't think you'll get rest. It will become more work there. But you take a break. Why do you want to take a break? Because you want to just go into nothingness. We yearn to go into nothingness. There's something that we should recognize. During the waking, we want to be something, right? But at sleep, we want to become nothing. We yearn every night. 2 nights, somebody doesn't let us sleep. Imagine our condition. We will go mad, right? There is this movie where Prakash Raj yes, mama, old cells die, new cells are created in our body. And this happens constantly. Prakash Raj in a movie, the punishment this guy gives, the police inspector gives a punishment to Prakash Raj. He's a villain. And punishment is he should not be allowed to sleep. And he shouldn't even close his eyes. So then he'll put sentries around him and say, even if he closes his eyes, beat him. So when Prakash Raj, you've seen, his eyes are really big, right? He should not sit. Or he'll probably sit or whatever, but he shouldn't sleep. So he'll keep his eyes open like this. He'll fall asleep, but then they'll beat him up and wake him up. That's torture, right? Imagine. Why is that torture? Why is that torture? Because I cannot withstand my personality more than 24 hours. Correct? I cannot withstand myself more than Imagine, I am not able to withstand myself for 12 hours, 15 hours a day. I need sleep of 8 hours. Imagine others, we want others to withstand us for lifelong. I want my wife to withstand me. I want my husband to withstand me. I want my children to understand me, tolerate me. Why? I can't tolerate myself, right? For more than 16 hours a day. No, these are very important things to think about, because we take sleep for granted. Sleep is a very liberating experience that we have on a daily basis. And if we go deep enough, it can teach us a lot of things. If we go with these thoughts into sleep, just before sleeping, just think, where are we going? Where am I going? Where is this person who was cranky, creating a whole drama, doing all of this nonsense in the world? Where am I going? I'm becoming nothing, right? Why can some of that experience not spill over when I wake up? Why should I become something? Why should I become something? Why should I go and beat around and wish that people think that I am nothing? தொலைஞ்சு போனா போறோம் அப்படிங்கிற அளவுக்கு we act in a way in the world where the world starts thinking enough of this person, right? Why do we go into that? So this is what Adi Shankara is saying. This, remember, everything is getting destroyed. Virinchi, Harihi, even Yama himself is getting destroyed. It's for the physical body only and not for the mind, the sleepiness. It's actually for both. Imagine if your mind is constantly active and only your body is sleeping, will you get rest? Will you be rested? Right? This happens to us a lot of times. You're in a lot of tension, a lot of stress, and you go to sleep, you're not able to sleep the whole night. The body is rested, it's flat, it's not doing anything. But because your mind is so active, when you wake up, you wouldn't have slept, you would feel so drained, you wouldn't feel rested. So the body actually gets rest only when the mind is able to rest. So and the important thing is, in yoga, what we learn in the teacher is that you do this consciously. You go into the state of nothingness, the state of dissolution within ourselves on a regular basis. Do it during the day. Practice sleep during the day. A lot of people do that in office meetings. If the mind is resting, then why do we get dreams? No, there is a dream state in which the mind is not resting. We are talking about sushupti, where the mind is rested, the body is gone, the mind is gone, and there is a brief period of sushupti. That is exactly where you're rested. That is exactly where you're rested. When the mind is creating dreams, you're not fully rested. If your mind is constantly creating imaginations and dreams and all that hallucinations it's creating, your mind is active, you won't feel rested. And dreams occur for a period of time, and then there is a period of time, whether it's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever that period of time of deep sleep, everybody has that experience. And that is what we want. Sleep without dreams, correct? Which is what we pray for. We yearn. We yearn for sleep without dreams, so that we get fully rested and rejuvenated. But the important thing is also to carry that experience of I was nothing there. Now, why am I suddenly becoming some big thing here? Okay. So let's bring that experience during the day. During the day, let me go into that resting and say, if there's too much agitation, too much, my mind is telling me, you are this, you are that, you should do this, you should do that, this, that, it keeps bothering you all the time. Go into that state within you. That is what is called meditation. That is what is sadhana. So you do that during the day and slowly remember and remind ourselves of this. What Adi Shankara is saying, that everything at the end of the day is going to get destroyed. Even you are going to get destroyed. Why do you want to destroy yourself while you're living? Make sure that you go into this resting space within you, so that your individual identity doesn't become so dominant within your experience that you are tired of it. Right? Don't become tired of your individual's presence. It should be pleasant. If you become tired of your own presence, it's a very burdensome living, right? So Adi Shankara says, O Sati, Maha Samhare Asmin, in this great dissolution, Shiva, the great Samhara Murti, the Brahman alone exists. That alone exists. And that is what you are. Aham Brahmasmi. And Sita ji started off with a very beautiful verse at the start. That is Aham Brahmasmi. Soham Asmi, Brahmaham Asmi. Soham Asmi, Brahmaham Asmi. Saha Asmi. I am that. Saha Asmi, Brahma Aham Asmi. That Brahman I am. Okay. Om Kayena Vacha Manasendriyerva Buddhyatmana va Prakrite Svabhavat Karomi Yatyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayanayeti Samarpayami Sadashivayeti Samarpayami Jagadambikayeti Samarpayami Sadgurunathayeti Samarpayami Hari Om Tat Sadguru Namah. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Excellent.
அருண்ஜி, I have a doubt எனக்கு. நீங்க